Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another massive late fee audio commentary. Today, as you can see, we're doing Hot Fuzz. Everybody can press record now. We're watching the Netflix version, or the version that's on Netflix, obviously. For those of you unaware, this is the second film in the Cornetto trilogy of movies written by Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright and directed by Edgar Wright, starring Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and a few others. But the other two are Shaun of the Dead and The World's End. I've seen all of them. This might be my favorite one. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of Shaun of the Dead and a little bit of The World's End, and they were okay. But I really like this movie a lot, in spite of the English accents, which I hate.
I listen to some Australian and English podcasts, and I kind of get into the accents, especially the Australian accents.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I like an Australian accent better than an English, but these aren't very thick accents in this movie, so that's probably why they're more than.
That's true. If they're super thick, sometimes it just can be hard to understand. I love this opening with the training montage and everything. It really establishes what they're doing, which is basically parodying movies like Bad Boys and like cop action films.
Yeah, this movie is really weird. It's like three different genres of movie at once. It's an action movie, like a spoof movie. So, I don't know. We're giving spoilers or no?
Yeah, I would assume that most people listening to this commentary
Yeah.
have seen the movie. I mean, if you haven't, what are you doing? Throw yourself into the ocean.
But yeah, it's ultimately a horror movie, which we don't really learn until about maybe three-quarters of the way through the movie.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of I would say all three of the Cornetto trilogy movies, although they tackle different aspects of the horror genre or different sorts of horror films, are all basically horror films. I mean, Shaun of the Dead obviously is a zombie horror film. This turns out to be
Oh,
a
wait, hold on.
yeah,
Quick cameo. That's Peter Jackson.
it,
Some people don't know that. Who stabs him through the hand?
yep, yeah, that's awesome. And of course, the Peter Jackson connection. This is oh gosh, I can't think of his name. I love him too.
Him right there. I know he's Bilbo in the prequels. I haven't seen those though.
Yeah, Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman. Yeah. He's in something else too. I can't remember what. Something else I saw recently.
Well, I know he's in the Avenger, like he's in the MCU movies too.
Well, I didn't see him there.
Right.
Was he in the Harry Potter movies, maybe, or like the prequels?
He might have been the Fantastic Beast movies.
Well, he's a British actor, so he's probably in one of them.
Right. But yeah, I love Martin Freeman. He's very good. But yeah, so like Shaun of the Dead is a like a zombie horror film. Obviously, this is a certain type of horror film, and then The World's End is kind of like spoiler alerts for The World's End is a like an alien invasion.
Yeah. From what I saw, it seemed like a science fiction-y type Invasion of the Body Snatchers type movie.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I love the subtle humor in here too. Like they keep repeating, like, "Oh, how's Janine?" And then this guy asks, and then he goes to see her eventually.
Yeah.
Wait, no, maybe that's not Janine. I don't remember it because I think she breaks up with him there, doesn't she?
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, one of the things when we get to the joke, which is like one of my favorite jokes in the movie, I'll point it out. But I love that there's a lot of jokes in this movie that actually they seem just like jokes or funny lines, but actually factor into the plot. Which it's just the writing of this movie is brilliant.
Yeah, it's really well done, and like this movie definitely is one that gets better the more you watch it. You notice stuff you didn't previously, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's Bill Nighy who shows up in voice only in The World's End. And he's another obviously frequent collaborator with them. He's very good too. I don't know if you've seen the movie Love Actually. My wife watches it every Christmas, but
No, I haven't seen that. Isn't that Hugh Grant? Isn't that?
yeah, yeah. Well, like basically any big British actor or actress is in it. Liam Neeson's in it. Although Liam Neeson's Irish, I think.
I think.
But yeah, but he's in it. Uh,
I
man,
love this here. What's
yeah,
the team gonna feel? I mean, he's gonna be happier,
yeah. It's great.
and only because he, and only because he makes them all look bad.
Yeah, he's too good of a police officer. That's why they don't want him around anymore.
And look at what a horror scene this is.
Yeah.
Just blood sprayed on the frame pictures.
Oh,
Oh, I guess maybe that is Jimmy. So maybe this is like one last desperate attempt, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, because we've been over this situation.
Yeah, like a double speak here, and that happens quite a bit, where he's referring to one thing, and she thinks he's talking about the relationship, where he's talking about the violence. Mm-hmm. He did that several times in this scene alone.
Yeah, the use of Edgar Wright, and I'm not sure exactly which one it is, or if it's both of them just working together, but the way that Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright use language in their film, these three films in particular, is outstanding. Like a lot of people know in Shaun of the Dead, when he goes to the pub for the first time and talks to Nick Frost's character, Nick Frost kind of outlines everything they're going to do that night, and everything that he says they're going to do that night is basically the entire plot of the film.
Yeah, I guess I have seen that. I think it was actually put off by the accident, so I didn't watch it all the way through. Mm-hmm. But we just missed a reference to his beloved Japanese peace lily, which is like all throughout the entire movie. He just loves that plant.
Yep. Let's see. I'm looking up Martin Freeman's filmography right now. He was in.
Poor Bob.
Let's see. He was in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I have not seen that.
Isn't that
I think it's Tina Fey, I believe.
Yeah, Tina Fey. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Obviously, The Hobbit, Saving Santa, Svengali. I'm not sure what you would have seen him in recently. I'm going back a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, since Hot Fuzz in 2007, he's been in, obviously some British movies, The Hobbit stuff, that Saving Santa, yeah, nothing, I mean, besides the MCU movies, Captain America, Civil War, and Black Panther,
Yeah, I don't know them.
not anything that I can see recently. He was on Fargo on TV.
That's what it was, Fargo. Yeah, he's really good in that.
Mm-hmm. Lester Nygaard. This is another classic Edgar Wright move with the quick succession of events, where everything it's quick cuts as a bunch of stuff happens at once. Yeah, Martin Freeman's great in everything. I like him a lot, like I said, but he's very good in Fargo, which is a good show if anyone hasn't seen it out there.
Yeah, here's another great example of the double entendre where he constantly, and this really kind of foreshadows a lot of the rest of the movie too, because she's obviously one of the members of the city council who is plotting.
Mm-hmm.
Fascism, wonderful.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, they, I don't know who's the bigger influence, whether it's Edgar Wright or Simon Pegg, but they do stuff like that very well.
Yeah, I haven't really seen enough, because I know Simon Pegg's actually a pretty accomplished writer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wrote some of the Star Trek movies, right? And did he write one of the Star Wars movies? I'm not sure on that.
No, he wrote the third of the new Star Trek films, Star Trek Beyond, and he was in the first Star Wars film. He's J.J. Abrams and him obviously with Star Wars or Star Trek have a connection. So he plays that one of the characters, like monster kind of character. So he's
Okay, yeah,
completely, you can't tell it's him, but
yeah.
he plays that guy in one of the Star Wars films.
Here's another bit of foreshadowing. The statue. I don't know if he reads it here or in a little bit. No, it's in a little bit. Like the name of the statue are all the town elders as well.
Yep.
This is like I said, I hadn't really seen Shaun of the Dead, so although I had seen the previews, it still was like a nice little surprise for Nick Frost character. You know, you really don't realize he's a police officer until pretty deep into the movie.
Yep. Yeah, and Nick Frost is very good in this film as he is in most of the things that I've seen him in. It's funny because a lot of people might not know this, but Edgar Wright started out on British TV. He did a comedy show called Spaced.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah,
There's
and
some more foreshadowing. They're clearly just from the onset embarrassed by the local newspaper,
yep,
and rightfully so, as we see.
yep. But yeah, so you like Nick Frost was just kind of like, hey, this is a guy that's pretty funny. That's one of our friends. Let's give him a shot and put him on here. And he became
I
big
like
in
how
this.
the more he looks at the kids, the younger and younger they are.
Yeah, but it's it's funny because he and it shows like a lot of the shows his his moral like character and how good of a detective he is and everything.
This is kind of an interesting thing here too. Is obviously the pub owners know there's a bunch of underage kids drinking here.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think it's as big of a crime as other things, such as misspellings in the paper or like a poorly reviewed play that they put on later.
Yeah.
And like he says, it stops them from getting into trouble. Which later there's some graffiti that the town just completely hates. And there's the first appearance of the greater good line.
Yeah. God, so much of their business was just underage people.
I like how he just orders a cranberry juice.
A lot of people might not know, but when people say the Cornetto trilogy, like I talked about earlier, this is where he reads the
Yeah,
fountain.
here's the names. Yep.
But that was because Edgar Wright named it after Cornetto was a popular. I think it was an ice cream cone.
Yeah, it's an ice cream kind of thing.
Yeah, in England, where he's from, and
Those cat-like reflexes.
yeah, and yeah, like he liked them a lot, I guess. So he ended up naming the movies after that. They're different flavors, according to him.
I think they were just like it wasn't intention. It wasn't intentionally from the get go, but he just realized he put one in like Shaun of the Dead, and he realized he put one in Hot Fuzz as well. So like, yeah, might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's something interesting little fact here. This guy, the book he's reading is I think the one he's reading is by Ian M. Banks.
Okay.
Ian M. Banks is a Scottish author who's pretty brilliant writer. He's a science fiction writer, and he also writes like more literary type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When he uses the name Ian M. Banks, that's for his science fiction stuff, and just Ian Banks is his regular stuff, which is really brilliant because instead of like using like a bunch of like different pseudonyms and stuff, it's like, oh, if there's an M, that's science fiction,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And later you see the twins. One of them is reading Ian M. Banks, and one's reading Ian Banks.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah,
I was trying to see the title of that one, but I missed it.
that's definitely not something I would have noticed. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff like that in all these movies.
Yeah, I like reading the IMDb trivia. I like how they just didn't take a. They took the cone off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's weird that they use like aerial measurements. They said he's 5'6" and not like so many meters and or centimeters.
Oh yeah, that is weird. Yeah, because obviously in Europe they use the metric system. And in England, I think would they still use stone instead of like kilogram for weight?
See, I'm not sure because they seem like they have a very even almost worse than ours mishmash of like not only like weights and measures, But currency, I don't understand their currency system at all.
Yeah, yeah, because they at least before they left the European Union, they kind of used the euro, but they also still kind of used the British pound and everything.
Yeah, I like that. That's his first line is pretty great too. I'm a slasher and I must be stopped.
Yeah,
Which is kind of funny because he clearly just like confesses to it, but then he says he's kidding, but we realize he's not kidding at a certain point.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's not sure why he wouldn't be in there, and obviously we know why,
Yeah, and that guy like doesn't remember him from 12 hours later or whatever.
right?
Am I wrong on that? Is that not one of the? I thought that was one of the twin guys.
I'm not sure. It might be. Why you dressed like a police officer?
Which is funny because right there he calls him a police officer, and that like follows through later when he says police officer instead of police woman.
Right. Here it's coming up soon. The my one of my favorite jokes in the and I love how, like, obviously this is so different from what he's used to because, they just eat cake and kind of, like they don't have a lot to do here.
Yeah, there's so little crime that you just like fuck around all day.
Yep. There's the greater good again. Here we go. He was an exception officer, but he's a great big bushy beard. I love that. He had one thing you don't. A great big bushy beard. I love that so.
Just all their equipment is so dilapidated.
Yep. And I love that so much. And obviously, spoiler alerts for the movie. When he finds him later with that big bushy beard, I mean it we understand that that's the guy and what happened to him and everything. It links into the plot. It's brilliant.
Yeah, like you kind of just imagine them like very like gently suggesting you remove the beard.
Mm-hmm.
Like hey, that doesn't really how he police. The church roof, which doesn't need repairs, as you see later.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the police officer line right here.
It's funny too because in England, so speaking of the church, there's a cathedral called the Wells Cathedral that's actually in this town or this city where they filmed it, and they digitally erased it from the movie.
Yeah, remember, isn't that because it's like something to do with it's like in a province or something to do with a name? If it has a church, it's not considered.
If in England, if a place has a cathedral, then it's a city. Because any English settlement that was built around a cathedral was called a city, and if it doesn't, then it's a village. And he wanted this to be a small village and not a city, so they had to digitally erase the cathedral.
Isn't this his hometown, Edgar Wright's?
Yeah, that's correct. This is Somerset.
That's a good line. That's a good line too. We'll be up to our balls and jugglers,
right? Yeah, this is Wells. So the Wells Cathedral, in Somerset, England. Yeah, this is where he's from.
Ian, if he was drinking driving, so he has to buy cake for everyone.
Right. A little indiscretion.
Oh, it's not even for that. It's for misplacing his helmet. He just looks so annoyed.
A lot of these movies of his obviously center around pubs, which is a bigger thing in England than it is here in the United States, and a lot of them feature the I can't remember what I was going to say, but yeah, they always seem to have conversations around the pub.
Which is hilarious because that's just what happens to him.
Yep, no one's going to stab you, Sergeant.
I like how full that beer is. That's ridiculous.
It's funny because all this is very believable too, even in a silly movie like this, because you could imagine that small town police officers would kind of be, enamored or curious about someone who's seen a lot more action than they have.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Nick Frost is his character is like Daddy is like a huge fan of action movies, so he just like harangues them about it for like the rest of the movie, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like here he just like interrogates him about his previous action career.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny too because that's where you kind of see that there's like a citizens patrol type thing, and they all have their own private walkie talkies which are linked into the police system.
Yep. So yeah, I mean,
NWA, that's another joke I'm sure, Neighborhood Watch Association.
yep. But yeah, like this is just like the classic setup where obviously he and his new partner are completely different. And it's the classic buddy cop setup. And Edgar Wright seems to do that really well where he sets up his films as one thing and then, obviously becomes something completely different. The World's End is the same thing. It seems like a almost like a drama kind of where he wants to get back together with his old mates to do this pub crawl, and it turns into this just crazy like sci-fi action film.
Right. I was just noticing the names here. There's we have Skinner, obviously. The other guy is Reaper. The Reverend's name is Shooter.
Yep. Hatcher.
Like how the tone shifts here with the robot.
Yep. Well, that's the other thing that I was going to mention that his movies have in common is kind of smaller, more parochial towns.
Like he looks so disappointed about that. It's just like that living statue guy.
Yep, that's their biggest problem. And you can see he's getting more and more perturbed.
Just why? couldn't look more annoyed with his partner. And I like all the names are very like it was like Tim Messenger's the reporter.
Yep.
He just hates all those suggestions. I like how there's like a game they make of like going through and correcting the names and errors in the paper.
Yep. That his name too, Nick Angel or Nicholas Angel, was one of the crew members was named Nick Angel, so he's named after one of the crews that worked on. I think he worked on this movie, but I know he worked on Shaun of the Dead and The World's End too.
I like how he even answers the phone angle like he's just like kind of like doesn't care.
Yep.
I think this is a good like P.I. Staker.
Yep.
Isn't that Stephen Merchant?
That is, yes.
Like for like a 2-second cameo.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of uncredited cameos from different comedians and English actors and stuff in this movie. I like Stephen Merchant a lot.
He just gets out the baton for the Swan. What was his goal there?
Just club it to death.
Cornetto.
Yep. I've never had one, but I've had ice cream like that before. It's good.
Creature.
This one probably gets into the action, I think, maybe the soonest of all of these three movies that Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg did. But he builds he in all three of these movies he builds characterization and kind of like acclimates you to the world before things go awry.
This one's funny too because even this guy's name is Armstrong, but he's actually the guy who plays the Hound in Game of Thrones. I don't know if you said you watched Game of Thrones.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he's one of the main characters or not a main character, but he's a prominent character in Game of Thrones.
There's some point in this movie, and I don't remember exactly where it is, but when they're doing the DVDs, you can see Shaun of the Dead is one of the DVDs.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yorp.
What's funny is the guy you called out earlier, the guy with the baggy clothes, or when you see his face, is the one shoplifting right here.
Now, there's not an actor that plays a James Bond character in Shaun of the Dead, is there? I don't think there is.
I haven't seen it. Like I said, I saw a very little bit of it. I don't know. Why is there one in The World's End?
Yeah, because obviously Timothy Dalton here, who played James Bond in the 80s, and then Pierce Brosnan shows up in The World's End, and obviously he was James Bond actually after Timothy Dalton in the 90s.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. He was in that because, like you said, I saw the beginning.
Yeah, he played.
Timothy Dalton's really good in this. I want to see him in more stuff after this. He's like a really funny. He's charming. He's sinister. He's pretty much everything you want in a villain.
Yeah, he's a very good actor. He kind of gets overlooked as James Bond because in that time period those movies weren't very popular. But he's very good. Yeah, here we go. I think this is it when they start throwing the super cop. Yeah, that right under.
Yeah, I saw it right
you
there,
can
yeah.
barely see it, but that's because it's very quick for the Shaun of the Dead.
I like how it's in the clearance rack too.
Yep. And this style of shooting, these quick cuts and everything, this is so Edgar Wright.
And there's NWA helping out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure that's got to be a reference because obviously NWA famously sang the song "Fuck the Police."
And that's kind of their attitude in the movie.
Yep.
Another nice pun, which I generally hate.
Yeah, if you know it's kind of it very much dependent on how you use it.
I remember this scene from the previews, and this was one of the movies. I actually didn't think I like it. I didn't see it in the theater or anything like that. It looked kind of dumb, I thought, from the previews.
Yeah.
But then I saw it, like it might have been on Netflix or something. I really enjoyed it. No, it had to be on like Comedy Central or something because I wouldn't deliberately watch it.
That last jump that he does where he just like does a turn in the air, it's so comical. It's subtle, but it's like
It
it
just gets better as he jumps.
Yeah.
I like the confusion here with the swan. He's already cuffed him, and he's reading the rights when Danny catches up. I'm not made of ice. I like the recurring theme of where they just keep like forgiving them and not charge them the stats. You know.
yeah.
That's funny because he says immediately. He says, "That's right." Laughing at that. He immediately says he's just going to become another statistic, and then he'll regret that. So he basically just says, "Oh, instead of being a stat that'll ruin our reputation, we're going to kill him."
Yeah, no James Bond no James Bond in Shaun of the Dead, unfortunately. A lot of people might not recognize him, but that guy the his boss, the chief, the one with the big bushy beard, he was in Moulin Rouge, which is a another I mean it's a musical, so I don't know if you'd like it that much, but I enjoy it. But he has sort of, because he's got that big voice, he plays kind of the angry character in that as well. And there's a part where they're talking about the can or something, and he's like, "Because you can."
Yeah, I'm not going to see that because I don't like musicals. The only musical I ever liked was South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
Oh yeah, that's a good one for sure.
I guess Team America World Police is kind of a musical as well.
A little bit.
Like the Book of Mormon. I don't know.
Yeah, his name is Jim Broadbent. I've always liked musicals ever since I was little.
I love this couple. They're just so pretentious. Mr. Blower.
Yep.
I like how he made sure he wasn't writing that down.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I never picked that up before that he says he's a solicitor.
Yep.
I never caught that. I like how you make sure he says you're playing the male lead. I like how Nick Frost, look at his face is great. This whole thing.
Yep.
I think it's just the exact same expression.
And I kind of like this little addition to I kind of like this little addition to his character too, because it shows you that, even though he can do this, like, it's almost supernatural, amazing physical stuff and everything, that he cares about details and the little things and doing things the right way. He's not all flash.
When they go to Romeo and Juliet, that's one of my favorite like scenes. Like just the expression on their face when they're seeing the finale.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what they're thinking with it. This is like the most terrible performance you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now. Just why would you have a gun after she drank poison?
Right.
Yeah, that's the expression right there.
Yep.
What's funny is Danny just looks so like engrossed in the performance.
I often wonder if, because sometimes people call these parodies, and they sort of are in a way, but he says they're doing a homage to Romeo and Juliet. And I almost wonder if that's kind of like how Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg look at a lot of the really terrible parodies that are out there.
What's funny is again here he talks about how the understudies are professional actors and how they're fucking up their town.
Yep.
I like how Danny's kind of picking up some of his lingo too.
Uh-huh. Obviously more foreshadowing of what's to come.
Right. What a comment. She has a distinctive laugh.
Yeah.
I like how he didn't pick up on that. He's like a detective. I guess he's not a detective.
Right. But still, he's a police officer.
I like how they said it was a 3-hour play.
Oh, God.
Like Danny just uses it as like an action movie, like a what? What? Fuck. So I don't really understand why the bad guy dresses up like that, but that's actually the first implication we see in the whole movie that there's like a sinister murder going on.
Yep. Yeah, they've clearly kept things, like as writers and directing, they've certainly kept it.
Another great double entendre. We haven't got long.
Yep. But yeah, he certainly kept everything close to the vest. Because, it's kind of it's sort of a reflection on the town, because the town obviously keeps these secrets.
Decaffeinated.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of like, they actually hit the town sign. So that's kind of funny. I never noticed it before. So it's actually just outside of Sanford.
Yep.
technically it would probably not be part of their statistics.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's why they did it. Yep.
And of course, this completely justifies what Angle was saying earlier with the, you got to drive slow because the limits were put in place for a reason.
Yep.
I do this in the Scream movies quite a bit, but I always wonder who's the murderer at certain points. I would assume Skinner's the one there for the most part because he's seems to be the most athletic.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I would have to go through and kind of watch it more closely to try to piece that together.
Yeah, I don't know if they're. I look think if I ever directed a movie like this, I would have a specific person and you'd be able to figure it out. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting to me. Ooh, already on the case, Angel.
Yep. It's funny because they're meant to be, seen as ridiculous and stuff here, but that is sort of the way the police generally go about their job. The simple explanation is usually correct, and they're almost always right.
Yeah, I think it's funny is these people are these two and specifically are just aggressively bad police detectives.
Uh-huh.
They just you can tell they just don't want to be bothered at all. Again, there's Danny just ripping off what Angel said earlier.
Yeah.
Crockett and Tubby. It's kind of funny. You can see he's just kind of always hovering around, and he's always assigning them the shitty jobs. Oh, go check out this swan, or this guy's clipping the wrong hedgerows.
Yep. Yeah, he's obviously trying to keep them out of everything, which is also why, he assigns him Nick Frost as his partner.
Yeah, which is interesting because I imagine just from the get-go they had planned on, killing him.
Oh, yeah.
I like how the incoherent guys are communicating with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I think that's what they brought.
It's funny because as much as you don't like accents, the English sort of feel the same way about it. That's kind of what this joke implies and is about. But I've heard them talk about Welsh accents and stuff like that, and how difficult it is to understand them.
What's funny is I've seen this movie so many times. I actually kind of can pick up on what the guy says. I mean, I don't know if I'm just remembering or what. Another joke that's kind of slipped in here, and I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but his last name is Webley.
Mm-hmm.
And Webley is the name of a revolver that's pretty, a famous British revolver used in the First and Second World Wars.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I like how he says he found these weapons, but there's just so many of them, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Including an ancient depth charge.
That's just such an awkward situation because when do you go back?
And it's funny too because
he just hit you with a shotgun.
You would think
it looks live. Kicks it. Sorry.
You would think that that it would be a giant explosion because, in a Bad Boys movie or something like that, it would have been.
That's Ian M. Banks' book for sure. I've seen that cover. I don't remember which one it is. I like how they just store the giant, possibly live mine in their station.
Right. And obviously this arsenal comes in later.
Oh, yeah. And that's funny. Another reference to the Peace Lily, which is what he said he had. He said he had to do that the night before, then to Romeo and Juliet, so maybe he never got to water it. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, This is one of my favorite lines in the whole movie coming up right here when he asks for the wine. I think it takes him a second to think of the other type.
Right.
And of course, his name, Porter, is a type of beer.
Yep.
Mrs. Blower. I like how he legitimately doesn't know.
Right.
It's funny because he's like a constable and the other guys are detectives. You'd think that Nicholas would be a detective, but I actually think in Britain they separate the two types of jobs pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Like you usually don't move from one to the other. You're either like a constable or like a detective.
Yep.
Policeman officer. And this story is just hilarious.
Yep. Kermit the Frog.
Just not only selling drugs, but selling them to students.
Right.
The first time he laughs in the whole movie.
Yep.
And possibly the last.
But you can tell this is kind of where they start bonding. And, obviously, that story gives, a reasoning for why he is the way he is.
What's interesting there is his mom died in a traffic collision as well. I mean, I wonder, if that was, an actual, you never know in the town of Stanford.
Yeah.
That's funny because what he does there is, I think that's something you used to do when we were younger, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fork to the ketchup packet?
Yep.
Like now he just doesn't care at all. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll match this alcoholic guy drink for drink.
Right. That's funny because they all insist on calling it an accident, when earlier he said that, he wouldn't because it implies that no one's to blame.
Right. And how that guy is, what's funny is I think that was the guy who's the director of the play.
Yeah.
And he'll be in bits tomorrow.
Yep.
What's funny too, though, is even though he's matching him, drink for drink, and he's obviously smaller than Danny, he's clearly more sober later.
Yep.
Just pissing at the game. This guy, of course, lives in the mansion, which no one cares for. Yeah, it's funny. He even calls it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Another don't want to be him in the morning. And of course, they just completely walk past the guy in the giant suit.
Yeah, maybe that's because he's drunk, but that is kind of uncharacteristic of what we've seen from Nick so far.
Well, didn't he walk past him earlier when they were leaving the Romeo and Juliet play? He was in down the alley.
Yeah.
I like how here where they cut from, they're drinking the same kind of beer, but they keep cutting from, scene to scene.
Mm-hmm. Now, I would think here it wouldn't be Skinner that does this one. I think he maybe like called one of the other people to
Yeah, I
tell
wouldn't be
him.
shocked if the dad did it quite a bit too. He seems to be reasonably in shape. Yeah, a lot of them are pretty old if you look at him.
Yeah.
Because you did it with a plan. I always catch something new in this movie.
Yeah. Her dance, it just keeps getting worse.
Like a solution to this.
Yeah.
This is another great line. First, he has a giant like library of action movies.
Mm-hmm.
Another that's funny. The same line he said earlier.
Yep.
I like this part too. Which one do you prefer? Pulling my leg.
Yeah.
I always thought that was odd, like a traditional like British like beans for breakfast kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of baked beans to begin with, but
Me either. Well, the British definitely don't have the best food in the world.
I like how he's just actually firing his. Or what's weird is that must not be his duty weapon because I don't think he carries, a duty weapon.
No, yeah.
And he lives in an apartment, so probably someone lives above him. That's a great line too.
Yeah.
That's a line from Bad Boys. This is about to go off.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the Bad Boys franchise, but I think they're coming out with another one.
They are, yeah.
What's funny though is like Will Smith is like really like up people's ass about how he never like swore in like his rap music or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bad Boys is just like fuck shit. Every other word's like profanity.
Yeah, I don't really like the Bad Boys movies either. Not my cup of tea, but
Right.
but you and I, we ride together, we die together. Bad Boys.
I like
for
how
life.
even the medical examiner just kind of like chuckles at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the overly sexual, like police officer woman.
Yep.
I guess that guy with the mutton chops must be like a supervisor because he's always asking him what they're supposed to do.
Right.
It's fucking Tim Messenger again. What's your perfect Sunday? And he goes, I'll deal with him. Just goes into his perfect Sunday. That's ridiculous. Of course, Skinner shows up again, which is pretty funny because, I mean, they're obviously heavy-handedly setting up Skinner as, like, the bad guy, and then the actual reveal is, like, much worse.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a point there. I like how he pops his head back in. That's funny, too, because they can basically commit the perfect crimes because there's a surveillance system, but they know every angle of the cameras.
Yep. Save the church roof.
So the policemen clearly like have no issue, like appearing foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Splat the Rat is Strongman.
Yep.
Or they're saying Splat the Rat while they're looking at Messenger too, and he's, they think he's gonna rat out on them, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I like how they're still wearing like Western gear.
Yeah.
Like
he has that obsession for Western stuff.
these things are. Oh no, I thought it was the star shoot. Those things are so difficult, but this is kind of funny. He just like destroys it, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom used to work at one of these carnivals, and she would tell me all the different things that they would do. Um, they'd mess with the sights and stuff like that, and just different things they do to make it almost impossible to win.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone shoot those stars out. It's like impossible.
Yeah.
I like how he doesn't like firearms, but he like clearly like has an affection like from the moment he picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
And this, sure shot of this appears later too, when he's killing everybody in the town.
Yeah. I like that he still got his prize even after the guy got shot.
See, I wonder if Danny was informing as well.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know why they wouldn't know to kill Tim Messer unless Danny was able to give the information over somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And later we do see that he's clearly aware of it. I like those guys. They're just like perfect assholes. And of course, he has a perfect alibi.
Yep.
Oh no, he's in the loo.
Joke really got him.
Well, Joyce and her lemonade. Who wouldn't want to drink a bunch of that?
Yeah.
I like the music and the way it sets the mood in this is really great.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how basically they all with all the crimes they're just you get like they're perfectly justified. Like, oh, we need a new church. See, look, it fell in poor Tim Messenger.
Yep.
Or oh, there's a reason there's that speed zone.
Tim, your number's up.
Yeah. I like how he just like has to run at top speed to meet him at 3:00.
Right. Oh.
That looks painful.
I love how over the top it is.
He just hits him perfectly with the point of it.
I love
immediately. There's
Nick's
been an accident.
He's not even like disgusted or anything. He just looks so disappointed.
And just like the first words out of his mouth is, "Oh, there's been a terrible accident."
Someone killed the messenger.
They're just joking about every murder or accident in the city. Look at the Reverend behind him. He's clearly worried, which is kind of funny because he knows it is a crime scene. That's funny how he just is clearly paying lip service to him.
Mm-hmm. You know what to
And they
do.
again get like a shit job. Okay, they'll all just have like a cushy job, and they're like so like happy with it, and he just came in and ruin their shit.
Yep.
He's just still holding the monkey. 2 weeks.
It's funny too because if you can kind of see Nick Frost's point of view of why he would question him because like he ran up there right away. There really is no like necessarily evidence that any of these deaths are linked, even though as the audience we know they are.
Yeah, I mean, really, if it weren't for us seeing that, there'd be an interesting movie if they just took out like actually seeing like the Slayer or whoever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, because then we'd question it too. Like, is he just one of these people that sees this shit everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, because it would make perfect sense because he does come from the big city, as they said. Joyce, the lemonade queen herself. That's funny because it is kind of like where he really just like gets onto it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get why he's circling the paper instead of the copy of the paper, but whatever.
Right.
And Danny, caring now is looking at the police service exam.
I love the like the bromance angle of this whole thing. I want it for you.
It's kind of funny how he does have like a genuine affection for him now because he knows he's trying to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Fingered.
I love how he brings that up. He really does put everything in.
He just goes back to the big accident stuff again. I like how she's so inappropriate. The police woman officer, I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the first time he's missed a birthday party, huh?
Right.
Or a funeral. I like how the lady at the garden store is named Tiller.
Mm-hmm.
Aww. I think that's interesting because I believe she's in on the whole conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. She got fingered.
Yep. God rest her.
Oh, he was behind him the whole time. Come on. Found the scissors. Oh,
Yep.
those are shears, I think. It was an accident.
Yeah, that one's a lot harder to.
I like how the nightstick clearly shatters the glass, but then he also shatters the glass.
Mm-hmm.
See, I would guess this is Skinner here because this guy is very fast and Skinner's a runner.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have to be one of the athletic ones. I mean, I don't think it could be the what's her name with the lemonade.
Joyce.
Right.
The flip again.
Be so hard to run in that thing.
It's always funny about like horror movies or thrillers where someone like in Scream especially they do a good job where they have like an elaborate costume but they're like they at least fall over and stuff like that and this they kind of do too but it's just like how can you do that? It's fast as fuck.
Well, he saw it.
He takes the time for that joke.
That's a great joke, too. No, actually, he wasn't murdered.
They've clearly been brainwashed by Danny's father. I can't remember his name.
No kidding. And you see, very subtly, you can see him like looking on at the whole thing in the background in his office, sitting in his office.
Yeah.
It's so. This argument is so ridiculous. He saw him stab her.
I like how they're just like a dedicated like local improv comedy troupe.
Right.
They just have to make crack jokes and everything.
They do a lot of yes and.
They should have the they should have the same police squad investigating like that gas murder by the Russian nationals and in what was it, Salisbury?
Yeah.
Oh, killed by gas, were you? That happened to me after the last chili cook-off.
He won't even say it. I like that too. There hasn't been a recorded murder in 20 years.
I like that too. That's very specific. I like how, again, I can't remember his name, Nick Frost's dad, like, goes through with it, just like humor him.
Mm-hmm.
That's another great part where like they're like this whole setup where they're gonna bust it out, but oh wait, he has to be called to the office.
Yep.
What the fuck?
She tripped and fell.
He is just so smug about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. He doesn't live anywhere near there.
And this is kind of a nice like sort of red herring too in this thing, because he goes through all the stuff that if you're, astute, you kind of notice too about this, the way the movie kind of leads us to think that he's obviously the only killer. And so you think, okay, this is it. This is the big moment where, all this comes out and stuff like that. But obviously, there's way more to the story.
Yeah, I was actually shocked the first time I saw what actually happened. A judicial application of bacon and beans.
What I want to know is how they even found that in that kind of an explosion.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. They have like a little crime scene taper on the bacon and beans.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think Dr. Hatcher said that he warned them off, so they probably just suspected, or at least claimed they did, because he was a frequent, bacon and bean eater.
Right.
Which is funny because he doesn't watch any films. Oh, there you go.
Right.
They're well known. What a Gaylord. I don't know. Is Gaylord even offensive? That's one of the funnier words I've heard my whole life.
Yeah.
Gaylord, Gaywad. Hilarious. There's a great Onion article that was like something about like historic Gaylord, Gaywad peace accordance. Flappers. Which is a great point because there's no evidence at all, since all the official reports were done by those in collusion with the crime.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder who that was then, because who else is as fast as faster than Nicholas Angel?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
That's great. The picture of him next to him.
Right.
I like how he just waits the entire time he's going through those tapes to make sure he doesn't find anything.
He does go out of his way to make sure that he seems supportive to him.
Like if they impounded the plant, but he still wants to water it.
They're both rubbing off on each other.
They really are.
See, I wonder if at this point, if they are deciding maybe they won't kill him because he seems like he's kind of given up.
Yeah, that's interesting. I always like the psychology of the characters. I mean, obviously, you never know. Maybe go listen to the Hot Fuzz commentary. You might learn some real stuff from that one.
Right? Yeah, maybe if you listen to the commentary from the actual writer and director. Uh,
Cornetto.
yeah. No more than
That's
one school child at a time.
that's a funny slip up when she says killers.
Mm-hmm.
That brain freeze. I like how just like how Hell's Bells he takes off for the station.
Yep. Yeah, he's seen it before. The same thing, and that's what got him killed.
Big bushy beard.
Right? Hurry, big bushy beard. Yep. If you haven't changed your mind in the morning, I'll get right on it.
If you haven't been murdered by morning time, then we'll look into this.
I think it's coming up pretty soon where he finds him, right?
Yeah, it's pretty soon. I think he goes and see. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen this. Yeah, I think he goes and looks at the seal again. He's like, "Oh shit, there's a swan."
Yep. Yeah, lots of swans in this movie.
See, that's my. See, I wonder if he was the killer when he was running. That's the Michael Armstrong guy.
Yeah, it might be.
And obviously, he could have been given access to his hotel room from the Joyce and her lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, he doesn't think he's the killer the whole time because he's too simple for that.
Yep. It is weird that they would give him this assignment.
Well, maybe it's so simple. He's a really big, tough, strong guy.
Yeah.
How they would say this is an accident, though, I have no idea. Yeah, as usual, I don't know the actor's name, but he's really good as the Hound on Game of Thrones. Oh, shit. That's funny because that's a line from Bad Boys, which you showed earlier.
Yep. Shit just got real.
What?
I love the internal consistency of these movies.
Yeah. This is like a scene like that definitely like pulled the rug out from under me. Like when he goes there and they're all like sitting around just casually discussing murder.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever that happens in a movie, it's really like interesting. Like when I saw Fight Club in the theater, like when you realize that Tyler Durden is the same person, it's just like same kind of like weird feeling, like you're like falling, or something.
Yep.
Another one was an American Psycho when he goes to the ATM and the ATM's talking to him. I'm like, oh my god, like the whole movie just like changes. It's really interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. American Psycho's another one that's very interesting. Yep. Now he's
The
getting
Porters too.
Yep.
I didn't realize that. I like how like petty they are.
Seriously, it's like a coffee clutch, but they kill people too.
Yeah, and they're like excited to be invited. I guess that's how they explain it.
Yeah.
She even looked a little sad by that, like by the tale they're telling.
Yeah. They're just like, oh,
Well, he murdered Bill Shakespeare. It's pretty funny that they're all like justifying it.
mm-hmm.
They're really hanging on to their previous roles.
Yep. I wonder what they would do if I wonder what they would do if here he was just like, oh, I can see all that, and just decided, yeah, that's fine.
It's kind of interesting too because when they show the actual murders, they show one person, but obviously in like the flashbacks, it's all like you see multiple people there. So I wonder if that's like his interpretation. When you see one, or obviously it's just like a ploy to not show the audience that there's more than one.
He said
never tell a woman she's older than she is. I guess, huh?
Right.
I like how it actually is more simple than like they said. Like they're not worried about the whole like contrived like a real estate plot. They just don't want her to make another town's gardening any better than theirs.
Right. They want to have the best garden around. Before you can say gypsy scum. Wow.
Crusty jugglers, another hatred towards jugglers, which makes sense.
Yep.
Also, his wife killed herself. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Make Sanford great again. That's a hat.
Right.
That's so sinister right there, the way he says that.
Yep. tripped and accidentally cut his head off. Yeah, in each one of these three movies, um, there, here it comes. Oh, crusty jugglers. But in each one of these three movies, there's a
I like how they just killed the kids. It was just completely unnecessary.
yep. Basically, anyone he's talked to.
That is a big bushy beard.
Yep, a great big bushy man. But yeah, in each one of these three movies, like the entire area or town, like kind of revolts against one or a small group of people. I mean, in Shaun of the Dead, it's zombies, but this is similar.
He's not wearing the vest, or is he?
I think it's a ketchup packet in there.
Oh no, actually he stabbed him right in his notebook. That's what he did.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why he
That's
gave
funny
it to
because
him.
he said you'll need this.
Yep.
He just drops him outside of town. Skellingtons.
God, yeah, that's got to be hard.
Yeah. Just how they explain that. Oh, you're back in London. What happened? Nothing.
Right? I love the way this whole scene is shot with the red light
Yeah.
and the. I mean, it's kind of like just shot reverse shot, but it's a really interesting way to light it and shoot everything. It's very atmospheric.
Yeah, it's really interesting how at this point this really is like a legit like thriller. You know, what came like a comedy. Like from this point on, there's still some jokes and stuff, but it's definitely a different movie at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I like how he's actually kind of entertaining the idea of just going back to London because he's clearly traveling down that road.
Yep. Get some.
Steven Seagal out for justice.
Yeah.
This clerk is like the most like aggressive like seller of all time. What's interesting is he just puts the plan together immediately.
Yep.
The community that cares.
Maybe a little too much.
Really, the whole thing is a testament to his dead wife.
Oh yeah. Yep. Which is sad, but obviously this is not really the way to handle it. God, that's so violent.
You gotta love a jump kick to an elderly woman's head.
Yep.
What's funny is he's become like the action hero that like he always didn't really care for.
Yep.
And they're just sitting by as he goes and collects all the weapons.
Yeah, he takes advantage of their complete, lack of attention to any kind of detail.
Oh, the toothpick.
Yep.
And even he doesn't care that much. I wonder who that was. Did they ever say who that was?
I think they do. Yeah, I think it's at the end of the movie.
I think that's the first time you see their twins, actually.
Yep.
Nobody Tells Me Nothing is also another motto of the town of Sanford.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's brilliant too.
Then we go to another genre of like an old Western movie, which, of course, the police chief and his son love.
Yep. We get to see the reactions of every single person that he's coming here to get.
Yeah.
I wonder how he explained not having a car.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like he was supposed to dump that body and come back, but he came back without his car. Like maybe
It's probably his personal car.
yeah. He might have said he pushed it like over a cliff too.
Yeah, or into the gorge with his mother.
Yeah.
Wasn't that older guy with all the guns like when he said, "Oh, why is he wearing a coat in the winter?"
Yeah. And it's funny because like it explains why he found so many weapons just lying around.
Right.
Everyone's so well armed.
And that's another callback to earlier when they said they're more armed in the country.
Yep.
Or there's more guns in the country, I think he says.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't know much about England's gun laws or anything. I don't know if all of these weapons would be legal.
No, they're very strict. But what's interesting is these are actually all classical British weapons. Like what Nicholas Angel has right now is called an FNFAL, which is like something their paratroopers use.
Okay.
I mean, I know you're not really into guns nearly as much as I am, but they're very English like weaponry.
No, that's cool. That's definitely a good insight. Yeah, I don't, I wouldn't recognize many of them. Maybe like a Walther pistol or something like that. But that's about it.
They should have given that to Skinner. That'd be kind of a nice other callback to him being from James Bond movies.
Yeah.
But I think they're technically German, Walther.
Yeah, I think they are. I guess what did England use in like World War II? Probably Brownings, right?
No, that's what they use. The what do they use? I think the Vickers machine gun is theirs. That's a good question. FNFALs, they're a Belgian weapon, but they didn't come out until later.
Mm-hmm.
I I know they always say like British weaponry are built like tanks, essentially, because they're just like so overbuilt. Like the Webley itself, they actually gave that to a lot of Americans because it would also feed the 45 ACP round, and like it didn't have enough 1911s going around, which was like the primary sidearm
Okay.
that could also shoot it. I think that's a Sten gun. That's a British like submachine gun type thing.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that.
This is what was it? Oh, I had it on the tip of my tongue. The rifle they use.
Well, this guy's going way old school with the sword.
I think it was a Lee Enfield, maybe.
Okay. And he blasphemes as he gets shot. It's great.
And the British did use some American arms as well in the Second World War.
Yeah.
Like I think they used a Thompson until the Sten gun was really prominent. Imagine there's some kind of weaponry out there for hunting and such. Like I know they do fox hunts, and there's like stag deer, which are pretty, well known for being a game animal.
Yeah, I'm sure that they I'm sure that they have, hunting weapons and stuff. Like I said, I'm not up on all their laws. But yeah, I mean if these are more classical weapons, they might be legal. So that that might all check out.
That's a great line too. You're a doctor, deal with it.
Right.
So I haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, but I heard this is the same pub they use in Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Or at least like there's supposedly like some big like rifle. Isn't it called like the Westchester or something like that, or
The Winchester.
something about? Yeah. So I thought maybe that played into it. I thought I read that somewhere, but I could.
Yeah, the thing's called the Winchester, and in the movie they say, we'll end up at the Winchester for shots, and then towards the end of the movie they're at the Winchester pub shooting zombies. So yeah, it's like the speech that Nick Frost has in that movie. Basically, he just he's outlining their night together, that just one night before the zombie attack happens, but it outlines the entire plot with clever wordplay like that.
You have to look at that because it's also on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Somebody call the police.
Hello, that's sort of a self-deprecating joke to them. You can help us bring an end to this absurd story.
I'd like to see. It'd be interesting to see a trial because how would they convict any of these people other than like word of mouth?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, the all they have is, I mean, I guess they have got eyewitness testimony from Nick, but that's about it. Because they really have been good at covering their tracks.
And there's probably little to no evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Saxon.
It's funny to me that nobody, except for the chief of police, was or the head constable or whatever they call him, was in on this. That none of the other police officers were.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
But they really did. They really did like brainwash them and just like lull them into a false sense of, hey, you just got cushy jobs here.
Right. What's interesting, this is the day the inspector for the Village of the Year is supposed to be arriving. I don't remember if they show them or not.
I'm not sure either. It's been a few years since I've seen this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a bit either. But I really like this movie. I like how they have all the police on board now.
Yeah.
I like how he looks shocked.
Oh, you were talking about that Peter Jackson cameo earlier from the beginning. I forgot to say that Garth Jennings, who did the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, he directed that movie. He's the crack addict in that opening scene too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I knew there was another cameo. I couldn't remember who it was, though. I thought it was someone else for some reason.
God, it's so funny because Edgar Wright really surprises me with each movie that he does where it's like I know that he can be funny and like he and Simon Pegg can write funny dialogue, but then he gets into this action stuff and it's like, wow, I didn't know that he could direct action like this, and it's this whole like ending scene is really impressive.
Yeah, he definitely has a love of action movies, like the characters.
Hmm. Oh, it's just so over the top. It might be more fitting if he fell into a cold case that was filled with Cornetto ice cream. Did you say cool off?
He's so happy.
He loves that he used one of those lines. Oh, yeah, I forgot she was in on it too. I mean, obviously at a lower level.
Doris.
Yeah, I love how inappropriate she is the entire movie.
Sure. This really is just an impressive action sequence.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously the two, like, heads. And they're there to judge the town.
Nice. I forgot they were there.
Seems as if they will not win Best Village.
Really, if you think about it, if you go by populace, they're probably the worst village now.
Right?
By the amount of murders.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Obviously, Timothy Dalton is no stranger to these kind of action scenes, which
Right.
I'm sure is part of the reason why they got him.
The SWAT, I forgot.
And it's subtle. You can, like it's real quick, but that swan is kind of burned from that explosion, like
Nice.
part of its face. Oh,
The ginger nuts. What the fuck? It's amazing. They're almost like Godzilla type, characters fighting in this like small to scale village.
yep.
I heard that I don't know if this was any inspiration from it, but in Kill Bill Volume 2, Quentin Tarantino wanted like Daryl Hannah and Uma Thurman's characters like to blow up to like these giant women at one point, which would make no sense, obviously, but this is kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That would definitely make that movie a lot weirder if that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, this would have been a good way to do the same kind of thing if they fought in some sort of model recreation.
Oh yeah, for sure. And oh no, that's not it.
I mean, obviously, this is also symbolic because they're literally fighting in a representation of the village for the village.
There's that little ginger nut.
Right. Aronson.
I can't remember where they said it earlier in the movie. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
He's got a box cutter.
And it's funny because his death is literally an accident.
No, he doesn't die, I don't think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In fact, I don't know if they kill any of them. Ah, fuck that. This really hurts.
Oh god.
That's funny. A chunky monkey. What the fuck? That's what's funny. I don't know if that's a deliberate reference, but the gun he's holding right there is a Smith and Wesson 5906, which is what is used in the movie Point Break, during the bank robbery scene.
Oh, I'm sure that's deliberate then.
Yeah, the undercover cop has that exact same gun.
Because here we go. He can't do it.
That's not 100% accurate, though, because Keanu Reeves had a Sig Sauer. But yeah, it's probably a callback to that.
Yep.
movie. This is another bad boy shot, I think, right here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they Stephen Merchant again talking to the Swan.
Nice. Oh my god, would that hurt?
Oh God.
London Calling.
Right. Now they want him back because they can't fucking pick up his work.
He was just upholding the entire police officer.
Yeah.
Considerable amount of paperwork. Look how irate they are.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I don't think any one of them actually dies. They're just all wounded and then arrested.
Yeah, which is fitting, for Nicholas Angel, a by the book type officer.
Mm-hmm. They make him take the mugshot with that thing in his mouth.
Yeah. Oh, he's becoming one of them. Like the throwing of garbage cans. Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
What's that? That's got to be. Is that like a blunderbuss or something? Like what?
Yeah, it looked like almost like a black powder type thing.
Right. Oh, and yeah, here we go with the mine.
Chekhov's sea mine.
Yep. This is another like kind of Bad Boys-esque shot with the the showing the explosion from 3 different angles, just
Yeah.
over exaggerated. Somehow everyone except for the guy that was right in front of the mine survived all this. Now we see he's not at the hotel anymore. He's obviously settled in. And we get this because, I think it's, yeah, the,
The mom, I think.
yeah, the fake out that it's going to be Nick Frost that's dead. But,
Yeah, the 5-second fake out.
right?
I like how he's just a chief now.
Mm-hmm. But, it's funny because they're doing all this stuff, but, now that they've taken care of the big problem, it really is just small time crap now. Oh, so that is Hot Fuzz. That's our commentary. Directed by Edgar Wright, written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. This is probably, like I said, this is definitely my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. I like Shaun of the Dead. a good amount, and The World's End is maybe my least favorite, but it's a very interesting and good movie. I like all of them. But yeah, you got anything else you want to add to our commentary?
No, I mean I might watch Shaun of the Dead now because I really enjoy this movie. So I'm sure that's pretty. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I just haven't really. I don't like zombie movies in general either, but I'll give it another shot.
Yeah, that can sometimes hurt the enjoyment of it, I think. But I don't think you really need to be into, because I'm not like huge into zombie movies either. Although we saw, I'll tell this story real quick. We saw 28 Days Later in the theater, you and I together, and I remember it because there was that Sandra Bullock movie, 28 Days, about her going to rehab. And you asked me if I wanted to see 28 Days Later. And I'm like, what? I thought to myself that must be a sequel to to that Sandra Bullock movie. And I remember saying, like, why? Why would we want to see that? And you're like, well, I heard it was good and everything. And it took maybe like 5 minutes of us talking together before I realized that what you were talking about was a zombie movie and not a sequel to that Sandra Bullock movie.
I like to think that's a sequel to 28 Days because 28 Days Later, it sounds like a sequel. Mm-hmm. And maybe the drugs that Sandra Bullock was addicted to became this rage virus.
Could have been. That's, yeah, I'm going to go with that one too. But yeah, I enjoy this movie a lot. It's very funny, action.
Definitely one to watch when you're drinking.
Oh,
Not that it's bad, but it's a fun, it's good for all throughout. It's a really good movie.
Yep, I agree. So, we are Massive Late Fee. Obviously, if you're here, you probably know that. You can, if you have any suggestions for movies that you'd, like us to do a commentary for, you can email us at Michigan or at massivelatefee@gmail.com. You can also send us something on Twitter if you want to. Tweet at us at Massive Late Fee, and you can find us on Facebook, Massive Late Fee. Leave us a comment there. And I think that's gonna about do it for us. So we will catch you on Tuesday, and see you then.
See you next Tuesday.